Well, hello, my fabulous friends. I hope you're doing well. Well, I have to preface this with a bit of a trigger warning. This reading does not have a good outcome. And for a young person, meaning 19. So, this is one of my tarot tales. And this is cards I read for people over the years and specific ones that I remember. I'm going back to my old school Titania's fortune cards. These are the ones you can tell I read and read and read with them. And somebody asked me, how do you remember that? And back then, Facebook was just baby Facebook. And I would take pictures of the readings and just for my Facebook. I didn't have a page or anything. It's just all my friends and everything. And I would just take a picture and say, "Oh, I'm doing a reading again." Or I would take a picture. This is when the iPhones first came out. Well, I had a BlackBerry, and digital cameras were out, so I would take pictures and just kind of remember them, and then I would go back and see how close I was. So if you're an aspiring reader, I really suggest that you do that. And it's actually so much easier with your phones now. Um, when iPhone first came out in, I think it was '07 was the first one, like that just made my life so much easier because you automatically had the date on it. So you didn't have to go back and make any kind of notes or anything. Do that. Just take a picture because the picture automatically keeps the date, and do some follow up with the other person. Or if you'll 9 times out of 10, if you nailed it, they'll contact you and like, oh my god, you're not going to believe it. Then go back and have a look, and then you can see how your intuition is growing. So this was a missing persons case. And at that point, I really wasn't doing missing persons. And she said, this is my friend. He's 19 and he was missing at that point about 2 weeks. And he was last seen at a party, a home party, just a few people getting together. And he left in a huff with just his shoes. And you have to remember at that time, we're talking, '07, like Blackberries were the big things, Nokias, iPhones were just coming out. And so he just had his little phone, which at that point was phone and text. Like you think those star texts, right? It was phone and text kind of thing. No GPS in it or anything like that. Really, the technology, you think about it, that was almost 20 years ago. So I said, well, I don't do missing persons, whatever. And she said, can you please just do a reading? Um, how's this going to turn out? Well, if you're Lenormand, here's the argument at the party, the clouds, and here's the scythe and the whip. So yes, there was an argument at the party, and he quickly left. Quickly left. He may have ran out. Then there is something here about health and coffin and birds. So health, coffin, and birds are burden. Or I mean, in today's, I use birds now for internet and communications. And I think, the original was burden, but I think a lot of people look at birds and think of squawking and communication and excitement and whatnot. And I'm almost could sense that this person had some kind of communication problem. So I said, does he have a problem communicating, right? Health, ending, communicate, like, does he have a problem communicating? And she said, well, yeah, he's from Mexico. He barely speaks any English. And, oh, okay. And then she felt that's why the police weren't really doing a big looking for him, because he's not a Canadian citizen. And she had some other unkind words for the police back then. And also, to be fair, he was 19, he wasn't a child. There was witnesses, there was a argument at the party, and he took off. and nobody could really communicate with him. So, is he really missing, or did he just decide to go stay with other friends? And, you know, they're, to be fair to them, they didn't see any criminal activity there. And then we have the Lily, the book, and the rider. So I said there's some kind of information that you don't know yet that you're going to hear that will bring everybody's peace of mind. But the thing that I saw too is that whenever you have a scythe, and a coffin, that's a death. That's a sudden death, and especially unknown. So I said to her, I think your friend has left the earth plane. I said, I don't think he's going to be found alive. And because this news is going to bring peace of mind to people, this news is also going to create a lot of upset people. This news, this upsetting communication you're going to hear soon. It's actually going to really be upsetting for a lot of people, but in some sense, it's going to bring some kind of calm, because cards are, one side is anxiety and the other side is calmness. The news is going to bring some kind of calm that it answers some questions. The news is about a death, and she was actually really mad at me. How can you tell me that? I said, I told you I don't do missing persons. I told you that I'm not going to lie to you and say he's going to be found alive. I see nothing here that indicates life. I don't see the son. I don't see the child. I don't see the man. Like, he didn't even show up himself. I said, I think we're going to hear news of a death that's upsetting. Also, the activity around a death that brings peace. So she called me about 2 weeks later. She was really upset with the reading, and, how can you tell people that? And I said, like, come on. What do you want me to, like, if you want somebody to tell you everything's going to be okay, go pray with somebody. But you asked me, and for a long time after that, I wouldn't do missing persons or anything like that. I wouldn't do anything around that because it was really upsetting to me too. And sure enough, she called me 2 weeks later and said, yeah, he was found in the Fraser River. She was in Vancouver. I was living in BC at that time. And she said, yeah, he was found on the Fraser River, and it looks like he jumped. Right? So there's the activity. So there's the action, death, to bring peace of mind. Also, then I'm looking back at this and this communication with the bird. I wonder if he was already had a depression and he had problems communicating even with people who spoke his own language. But yeah, it even made the news that he was found, unfortunately, in the river. Oh, that was another thing I said. He's not far. He hasn't left the area. Like, he hasn't, it's not like he's left Vancouver. That was there. I don't see any kind of movement cards. I don't see the ship, right? Actually, all these cards, well, I guess you say the birds, the rider is movement, but all these other cards are no. And I took the rider as a message, because of the book, the unknown message here. But otherwise, I don't see any movement cards, like the ship, for example, is not here. That would indicate to me, well, you know what? He's left the area. He's not even there anymore. And I said, no, he's still in the area, but I said he'll be found because we have this peace of mind here. I said he'll eventually be found, and I think it was a fisherman who found him. He went up the banks of the river. But yeah, that was one that really stuck with me for a long time. And for many years after that, I didn't do missing persons or any kind of anything like that because I didn't want to upset the person. And because that just it upsets me. I've since learned, as you mature, to take that, with a grain of salt, and not to take on their energy. But at that time, I was still, like I said, friends and family, and the I did the odd little show here and there, and I'd put my cards up on Facebook. And that was like I said, before Facebook pages. So you had to be a friend of a friend, and back then people were more public with their Facebook pages, right? That was before everyone freaked out about being stalked or exes looking at you or whatever. And so a friend of a friend said, "Oh, I know this girl who reads cards." And um, yeah, that was one I didn't forget for a very long time. I have another similar one, but I'll tell that for another day. It didn't have to do with the death, but same thing. It upset me, and I didn't read cards for a good 6 months after that for other people. Yeah, you can get things that upset you like that. So yeah, so how do I remember is I've got this I've taken a lot of my early ones I have pictures of. Once I got really, really busy, I stopped doing that. I just don't have the bandwidth on, or the memory sticks. If I would have hundreds of memory sticks if I took pictures of every reading I've ever done over the years. But anyways, some of you really enjoy these tales from tarot, and that was one of the ones. Like I said, that was back in '07 that I'll never forget. Thank you very much for watching. Please take good care. See you online. Bye for now.